Good morning and welcome to another reading from the books of the Old Testament. Today I am reading the book of Judges. Um, and the book of Judges tells the history of God's people after their arrival in God's promised land, Canaan, and their turning away from God toward earthly kings in search of order and safety. And it is a story, it is many things interlaced to bring out their faithfulness and faithlessness after their freedom, after they have been freed from slavery in Egypt. So I begin with the book of Judges from the Old Testament of the Holy Bible. The book of Judges, chapter 1 onwards. There are a total of 21 chapters in this book, chapter 1 onwards. Now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, Who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land unto his hand. And I, the Lord, and Judah said unto Simeon his brother, Come up with me into my Lord, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will with thee into thy Lord. So Simeon went with him. And Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and they slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they found Adonai Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him. And they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and Adoni-Bezek fled, and they pursued after him, caught him, cut off his thumbs and his great toes. And Adoni-Bezek said, There 70 kings, having their thumbs and the great toes cut off, gathered the meat under my table as I have done. So God has requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it and smitten it with the edge of the sword, and set the city on fire. And afterward the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain, and in the south, and in the valley. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before what? Kirjath Abra. And they slew Sheshai and Ahiham and Talmai. And from thence he went against the inhabitants of Debir. And the name of Debir before was Kirjath Sepher. And Caleb said, He that smiteth Kirjath Sepher and taketh it, to him I will give Achsah my daughter to wife. And Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Achsah the daughter to wife. And it came to pass, when she came to him, and she moved him to ask of her father a field, and she lighted off from her ass. And Caleb said unto her, What wilt thou? And she said unto him, Give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a south land. Give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. And the children of Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up into the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth in the south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. And Judah went with Simeon his brother. And they slew the Canaanites and inhabited Shephthah, and utterly destroyed it. And the name of the city was called Hormah. And Judah also took Gaza with the coast thereof, and Askelon with the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, as Moses said, and he expelled thence the 3 sons of Anak. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. And the house of Joseph, they also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them. And the house of Joseph sent to descry Bethel. Now the name of the city before was Luz. And the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, Show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show thee mercy. And when he showed them the entrance into the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword but they let go the man and all his family. And the man went into the land of the Hittites, which built a city, and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shean and her towns, nor Tanak and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Abraham and her towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, but the Canaanites would dwell in that land. And it came to pass, when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites to tribute, and did not utterly drive them out. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kithron, nor the inhabitants of Nahaloi, but the Canaanites dwelt among them, and became tributaries. Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko, nor the inhabitants of Sidon, nor of Ahlab, nor of Aksib, nor of Helba, nor of Aphik, nor of Rehob. But the Asherites dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out. Neither did the Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Bethshemesh, nor the inhabitants of Bethanath, but he dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Bethshemesh and Bethanath became tributaries unto them. And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain, for they would not suffer them to come to the valley. And the Amorites would dwell in the Mount Heres in Ajalon and Shalabim. Yet the hand of Joseph was prevailed, so that they became tributaries. And the coast of the Amorites was from up the going up to Akrabim, from the rock and upward. Chapter 2. And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim, and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and have brought you into the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you, and ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. What have ye done like this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass, when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto all the children of Israel, the people lifted up their voice and wept, and they called the name of the place Bochim, and there they sacrificed unto the Lord. And when Joshua had let the people go, and the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land, and the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and served Baalim. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger. And they forsook the Lord, and served Baalai and Ashtaroth. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of the spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them into the hand of their enemies round about, so that they could no longer stand before the enemies. Whithersoever they went out, the hand of the Lord was against them for evil, as the Lord had said, and as the Lord had sown unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto the judges, but they went a whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. When the Lord raised them judges, then the Lord was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord, because of the groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, in following other gods to serve them, and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn ways. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, Because that this people has transgressed my covenant which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I will also henceforth drive out any from them out of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein. And the fathers did keep it or not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered them into the hand of Joshua. Now these are the nations which the Lord left, to prove Israel by them, even as many as Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan, only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war at the least, such as before knew nothing thereof, namely 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal-Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were there to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave the daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of the Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forget the Lord the God, and served Baalim and their groves. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Shushan-Rish-Athaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Shushan-Rish-Athaim 8 years. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and his hand prevailed against Cushan-Rishathaim. And the Lord had rested 40 years, and the land rested 40 years. And Othniel the son of Kenaz died. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered them unto him, the children of Ammon and Amalek, and smote Israel, and possessed the city of the palm trees. And the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, for 18 years. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. The Lord raised them a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. And Ehud made a dagger which had 2 edges, a cubit length, and he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab. And Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, Keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand, took the dagger from his right thigh, thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of the belly, and the dirt came out. Then Ehud went forth through the porch, shut the doors of the parlor upon him, and locked them. And then, when he had gone out, the servants came. When they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, Surely he covereth his feet in his summer chamber. And they tarried till they were ashamed. And behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor. Therefore they took the key, and opened them. And behold, the Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried, and passed beyond the quarters, and escaped unto Seirah. And it came to pass, when he had come, that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him upon the mount, and he was before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord has delivered unto your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him, took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, all the men of valor, and there escaped not a single man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest for 80 years. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad, and he also delivered Israel. Chapter 4. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of the Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Haroshath of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at the time, and she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Has not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun. And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thy hand. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah rose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali into Kadesh, and he went up to 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. And Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenite, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Sanaim, which is by Kadesh. And they shewed Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinoam, was gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Hashoreth of the Gentiles unto the river of Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day that the Lord has delivered Sisera into thy hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? And Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And the Lord discomfited Sisera, and all his chariots, and all his host, with the edge of the sword before Barak. And Sisera lighted down from his chariot, and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots, and after the host, unto Haroshath of the Gentiles. And the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, and fear not. And when he had turned in unto her in the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And when he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. And he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man that come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? Then thou shalt say no. And Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, and so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came unto meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temple. So God subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered, and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. Chapter 5. Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day, saying, Praise ye the Lord for avenging of Israel, when his people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O kings, give ear, O ye princes. I, even I, will sing unto the Lord. I will sing praise unto the Lord God of Israel. Lord, when thou wentest out of Seir, when thou marchest out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled, and the heavens dropped. The clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before the Lord, even from that Sinai, from before the Lord, the God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Israel, until that I, Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. They chose new gods. There was war in the gates. Was there a shield or spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? My heart is toward the governors of Israel, that offered themselves willingly among people. Bless ye the Lord. Spake ye that ride on white asses, ye that sit in judgment, and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of the villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. Awake, awake, Deborah. Awake, awake, utter a song. Arise, Barak, lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinoam. Then he made them that remaineth have dominion over the nobles among the people. The Lord made me have dominion over the mighty. Out of Ephraim was there the root among Amalek. After thee, Benjamin, among thy people. Out of Machir came down governors. Out of Zebulun they that handle the pen of the writer. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar, and also Barak, that went sent on foot into the valley. For the divisions of Reuben there was great thoughts of heart. Why abodest thou among the sheepfolds to hear the bleatings of the flock? For the divisions of Reuben there were great searchings of heart. Gilead abode beyond Jordan. And why did Dan remain in ships? Asher continued on seashore, and abode in the breaches. Zebulun and Naphtali were a people that shepherded the life unto the dead in the high places of the field. The kings came and fought. They fought the kings of Canaan in Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo. They took no gain of money. They fought from heaven, and the stars in their courses fought against Sisera. The rivers of Kishon swept them away, the ancient river, the rivers of Kishon. O my soul, thou hast trodden down strength. Then were the horse hoofs broken by the means of prancings, the prancings of the mighty ones. Curse ye meadows, said the angel of the Lord. Curse ye bitterly the inhabitants thereof, because they come not to help the Lord against the mighty. Blessed above women shall Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, be blessed. Blessed shall she be above the women in the tent. He asked water, and she gave him milk. She brought forth butter in the lordly dish. She put for her hand to the nail, her right hand to the workman's hammer, and with the hammer she smote Sisera. She smote off his head. She pierced and stricken through his temples. At her feet he bowed and fell. He lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell down dead. The mother of Sisera looked out of her window and cried through the lattice, Why is his chariot so long in coming? Why tarry the wheels of his chariots? Her wise ladies answered her, Yes. She returned answer to himself, Have they not sped? Have they not divided the prey? To every damsel or two. To Sisera a prey of diverse colors, a prey of diverse colors of needlework, or diverse colors of needlework on both sides, meat for the necks of them that take the spoil. So let all thine enemies perish, O Lord, but let them that love him be as the sun when he goeth forth in his might. And the land had rest 40 years.